Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday morning trading room. Hump day, halfway through the week already. Wow. This week seems to be zipping right along. Okay, I see there's a couple new people in the room here this morning. Welcome. I'm going to just give you a really quick overview of what you're looking at here. This is the complete diversified trading system along with the Raptor. Here in the top left is your Hawk Micro Scalper. In the top right, the Falcon Swing Trader. The bottom left is the Eagle Trend Trader. The bottom right is the Raptor. I've also watching the Russell and the E-mini on my other monitor. These charts here are all for the NASDAQ. Which is my personal favorite market to trade. I think it's pretty tough to beat overall. Okay, we're looking at a reasonably strong rally here to start the day. The market kind of turning on its heel just before the market opened this morning and retracing a little bit higher. The overnight, very, very quiet. In fact, it looks like we're beginning the day pretty much where we left off yesterday. So no overnight gaps or anything of that nature to deal with. Yesterday, a relatively quiet day. We did see some swings, higher and lower, but for the most part, we spent a lot of time going sideways. You can see here from just the beginning of the afternoon session until the close, the market really not doing a whole lot. But a fairly strong move to start. Got some decent opening signals here on the Hawk, the Falcon, and the Raptor. The Eagle, not yet. I think I might be inclined to give the market a little bit of time here to settle in. It's still very early, of course. Only a couple of minutes into the session. Personally, I'm not fond of early trades. I don't know. I don't have the constitution for it. There's nothing wrong with waiting, though. Waiting, sure, sometimes there's an opportunity cost associated with waiting, but for the most part, waiting does not cost you money. Okay, we're getting, the market's getting a little bit flatter here now, as it looks like there might be some sellers showing up. We've got a few bullish signals though overall here on the Falcon. We're producing a late filter entry signal to buy. That signal did not engage, although that does tend to be a fairly strong signal here on the Raptor. We also have our number one signal to buy. That's the cloud crossover. But it looks like the market might be trying to recover the little bit of an overnight downtrend. Still a little bit early to call. Certainly, if these current highs hold, you can see we have attested the extreme. We've produced a number two signal, which is our counter trend signal. You could, if you deem this to be the dominant trend, your number two signal, although it's counter trend, is actually a with trend signal, in which case you could do a second push entry. And all that means is we allow the signal to engage and we see where the market reacts. In fact, I wonder if I should try that. It's still so early. The Geiger counter was reddish here. All right, I'm going to throw my order in. What time is it? We're not even 5 minutes into the day yet. And here I am. All right, let's see what they got. And all this is just looking for the market to try to, like I said, recover the overnight trend. Come on, get that break even. All right, I don't like the way it's hesitating, so I'm going to take the trade to break even now manually. Okay, hit the first profit target. I will get the ATR enabled. You can see the primary support line here. Ideally, if I could keep my stop above there, actually where the ATR is printing, that would be preferred. But you know what? I took some profit on one of the positions. I could pop out with additional profit at this point. But I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a chance to run out back to the low here of the morning. And as we get closer toward the low of the morning, I may go with a more aggressive stop strategy, maybe like my parabolics, just to capture a little bit more profit. All right, parabolics actually a little bit further away than the ATR at that point. Okay, let's see here. Were the ATR actually tighter? No, it worked out about the same. The only stop strategy more aggressive than the parabolics would have been the bar high low. Okay, hooray for us. Now that's a nice way to start the day. And if I were trading with my $100 a day trading plan per contract, my day would be done. Golf course isn't open just yet, but I could book a tee time online. All right, now we're seeing a little bit of pushback again. Because yesterday was so sideways, I wouldn't be surprised to see today become rather sideways as well. Yeah, yeah, Mark says, I bet if you left now, you'd walk on with no problem. Still kind of dark up here. With the days getting shorter. Okay, now we're seeing some of that bullish pushback. I'm not quite sure what to make of this now. I thought we were seeing a nice breakout. And now we're not. I suppose if the sellers have a chance to regain the market, they're going to do it soon. That's how trend lines develop. All right, looks like there's some sellers stepping in. Oh, the Geiger counter is still very strong. Look at that little block of buying that went through there. A couple of very broad swings here to start the day. It's funny, I did consider for a moment buying the number 2 signal as the market failed to take out the low of the morning. There was a suggestion here from the market that prices would rally, at least short term, at least far enough to find our profit target. Let's see, it held here, and held here again. I guess our first in-sync eagle signal occurred right here. We did have a couple of signals print here and here. This one not in sync with the band, this one in sync with the band but not filling. This is the first one where everything was in sync. Unfortunately, well, depending on where you placed your stop, it has not worked out just yet. You can see we're just retracing the same numbers over and over here. Looks like today the big number is going to be maybe going to be 7,600, and that would make sense. Big numbers like that always attract traders' attentions. This whole sideways business is making me a little leery. This now, the potential for a very broad test of the extreme. The test of the extreme is when you have, in this case, a high, and the market keeps failing to resume that trend. It fails to get through that high. That's the overnight high, of course, but even if you take the high of the morning, we are still seeing a retest, and so far the market unable to get above there. What makes it confusing is we have the opposite effect on the short side, where we have the low, the extreme, and the market retesting the lows and also unable to get through. All right, we've got a few signals to buy, a trend change signal now here on the Falcon. We did get a first micro-macro cross here on the Hawk that did hit its profit objective. Now we're back with a macro pullback. The Eagle also firing here a little bit early, and the Raptor also with your number 3 signal and a pretty little second push entry opportunity. It's a little bit further away than I normally like, but by using the second push, you could also get by with a slightly tighter stop placement, which means that you could also reduce your risk exposure, go with a single contract instead of perhaps the two contracts that the trade manager is suggesting. What time is it? Oh, we're past the quarter to the hour mark. I feel a little bit better about that. And here we come now with yet another number 2 signal. So let's see if we can get a second push on this one. The market's already paid off once to the short side. And what I could do is I could also cover this position above the high of the morning. This hard edge is going to be a bit of a bear to get past. I should have perhaps waited a little bit longer, but here I am. The Geiger counter is red, suggesting there's a block of selling coming through, but we still got to get past that hard edge here on the trading band. So while technically this number 2 signal is a counter trend signal, it's counter this short trend. I'm trying to see whether it is actually with trend on the bigger trend that may be trying to establish here. This bar here that I actually entered on would make for a much better second push entry opportunity than the one I used. All right, last chance for the sellers. I could bring my stops in above here, certainly. And if I was a little more anxious on the trade, above this swing high would be acceptable as well. I am doing my best to give them some room to move here. Come on, you can do it. Get below 76.08. I don't like to manipulate the market this way, but I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to pull the price back down. Come on, you can do it. Let's go. So you just take hold of the price bar, and see, and we pull the market down. It also works on the Geiger counter. You can force the Geiger counter needle here over into the sell zone. If you just take it and pull it down a bit. I'm debating rolling my stops even more, but I think I'll leave it where it is. See, Mark has a good tip here too. He says, I found that I can use my shark vacuum to pull the market up if I hold it in just the right spot above the screen. Good tip. Sometimes it helps if you hit the top of your monitor as well. It forces the market down. You see, you just gotta hit it hard enough. Well, the sellers have got to come through here in the next few minutes, or we'll probably see prices pop up a little bit. We produced a number 3 signal. This is actually a very OCO-able type trade. You could bracket this trade. You could buy a break above the high. You could sell a break below this low. Given all this sideways congestion. Darn it. All right. We'll see here in a second whether my stops were just flat out too tight And what I might do is, I don't do this often, but I may look to reverse on the position. So here now, the number 3 signal, the short obviously not working out. Here's my second push opportunity. We'll see if we get any follow through on the upside. The reason I don't normally reverse on my trades is it's easy to get stuck in that kind of mentality when the market is really not going anywhere. And so you can quite easily double up on your losses, which is no fun. Yeah, that's right. Mark says, sharing is caring. Yeah, thanks for those tips. All right, so we're still producing some warning dots. My entry here, based on that second push on that number 3 signal, and I'm gonna try to stretch this one out a little bit, see if I can't offset that loss that I just had. Back now to the high du jour. We'll see whether we get any follow through from there. Wow, no love so far. Ouch. Just beating me up here right now. Let's see what else we got going on. Yeah, the Hawk's a mess, as you might imagine. As is the Falcon. And sure, now we're at the high of the day. Now the sellers decide to show up. Scoundrels. All right, I'm going to extend my break even a little bit because chances are, as we get closer toward the median line, now that we've broken above the high of the morning, that we could see a little bit of a reaction, and that's what we got going on right now. Let's see here. Steven says, draw the trend line down from 948, and there was your long, but you went short. I think, no, that's 948 would put us right about here, I think. Oh, yes, I see what you're getting at, Steve. Yes, and wasn't I just the lucky one to sell the low of that bar? Had I actually waited for a proper second push instead of getting a little bit anxious on it, I would have avoided that trade. Oh well. Nice block of buying going through, but very little follow through. So far, anyway. We'll see. The lack of follow through here this morning really surprises me. I could roll my stops up a little bit, maybe, I could bring them here below the primary support line, the hard edge and the primary support. Look at this back and forth though, my goodness. Yeah, everything is just a real mixed bag. It looks like we've got ourselves a trading range. So with these trading ranges, typically selling occurs the top third, top quarter. Buying occurs the bottom third or bottom quarter. The best way to trade a trading range is to actually allow it to break out and then prove to you that it can stay out. Likewise to the short side. I know it's no fun, but what's happening in this trading range is, well, the market is very content to be trading over these numbers. It doesn't feel like it has to trade higher or lower, so it's just going to continue to move back and forth, retest these price zones. Yeah, now they're going to tag me out again. Stinkers. Yeah, there they go. They just tagged me out. Well, there you see why I don't very often reverse on a position. It's a good way to make a bad situation worse. Well, thank goodness I had that earlier winner. And it looks like maybe now they're going to commit to a trend, maybe. You can see we're kind of back toward the bottom end of the trading range. So it's too early to call. This is also why you don't want to be trading too many times in a day. It just messes things up. All right, so here come the sellers again. We haven't seen a breakout below the trading range just yet, but we are seeing a little bit of a retest, right? So if we make our trading range like so, okay, there's selling, active selling up here, and active buying down here. Obviously, we're back in the middle of the trading range, but this may be an early retest of the high. It's going to produce the #1 signal here on the Raptor cloud crossover. We already have short signals here on the Hawk. The Falcon kind of trying to do maybe going to come back with a late filter entry, which would be desirable. And then, of course, here on the Raptor, there's the #1 signal. I'm going to short it. I'm going to throw my stop up here, and hopefully we get some follow through on this one. Come on now, get back down to that low of the morning. So the low of the morning, just above the support line here at 75.95. And again, you know, it's not the ideal situation because we are inside this sideways trading range. Stephen, I bet, has got a trend line sitting like so, and he's looking for a break below that trend line. You could use this bar here as well for your second push opportunity. Here now with a discretionary signal, kind of one of those follow-up signals telling us that all the signal parameters have been met. It's also very, very close to this cloud crossover. The Falcon not quite there with the late filter entry. A few green bars there spoiled the trend line. And the Hawk now working a 4-arrow consolidation. So there is some bearishness in the market here, and as we see a little bit of an uptick, hopefully we'll see the sellers push back. All right, here we go with the sellers. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of follow through on this one. That will allow me to bring my stops in. Again, I'm trying my best to be patient with this trade. Yeah, Steve comments, go down, please. Begging helps. Well, they're stuck. They're not really willing to go down, and they're not really committed to going up just yet. A lot of congestion at these price levels. The market really quite constipated today. We've been trading for about an hour so far, and you can see we really haven't gone anywhere. If we take a look at a daily chart, it will be even more obvious. See, tiny little bar, that's today's session. No range to speak of. Oh, look at that, a little bit of an uptick. Obviously, as it gets higher, it will catch the interest of more of the sellers. But until we get outside this range, it's just going to be like throwing darts. When the market is in scalp mode, as it is today, you can anticipate this. You can anticipate a lot of back and forth, bigger price swings, which are going to demand wider stops. Ideally, I should be taking profit on target on all the positions. I shouldn't be trying to run something out. Steven said it went up because I went short. Yeah, it sure feels that way sometimes, doesn't it? Well, we'll just stay with it. And, the only consolidation is that you cover the risk percent. So you're not overexposed on the risk, even though the trade may not work out. Honestly, folks, if you're looking for a good trade to do, we're not going to see one until we get outside of this trading range. So long as we are stuck in here, the market will continue to range back and forth. And it won't be until we get outside of this range that you're actually going to get a decent opportunity. It's not to say the trade won't work out. It's just that it's going to be a lot more difficult. You're not skewing the probabilities in your favor by trading inside a trading range. All right, well, we'll just stay with it. Keep our fingers crossed. I know it's kind of boring when the market's this way. It's an exercise in trading discipline, I suppose. Now we're starting to work a cloud crossover to the upside. And again, that's typical of a market that's kind of stuck in this sideways back and forth. You can see now back toward the top end of the trading range. Well, we're just kind of waiting the market out here. It's a little bit of a rally up back toward the high of the morning, or at least the high of the opening range. We'll see if it doesn't attract some of the sellers. But you're always going to be stuck when you're, like I said, trading within a range. Context is important. You got to look left. I heard someone say, actually, I think it was Ray Burke, he used to say, you got to look left to be right. And it's so true. No, they're not going to give it to me. All right, well, we'll throw that one on the shelf for now, and now we'll sit and wait until the market actually breaks out of this trading range. If it can't get outside the trading range, then I'm not going to do anything with it. Because as long as it's in that range, it's going to continue to be like this. It's going to continue to be unpredictable. Now, some traders, the more aggressive among you, may consider a short signal from the top end of the range and a buy signal from the bottom end of the range. If you don't want to wait for the market to break out, you can look at any short signal. You're not going to get one on the hawk, but you will get a short signal on the falcon. You can see you're working one right now. There's a warning dot. And you will, or you may produce one on the eagle, and you will produce one on the raptor. So your falcon and raptor definitely will produce sell signals. And if you think the market's still in this sideways trading range, that gives you the opportunity to short. So I'll show you what that's like if we can get a short signal. Or if you're in sim mode, you can sim it yourself. Again, not a high probability trade, but the upshot is you'll know exactly when you're on the wrong side of the trade because, of course, you can place your stops above the high. All right, so here the falcon had a couple warning dots. I'll be looking for the sell signal. It is totally counter trend, but kind of banking on that sideways trading range to encourage a little bit more selling. No, not getting it just yet. We may actually see that breakout this time. Okay, there we go. All right, there's the breakout. Let's see if we can stay out now. So we'd be looking for some sort of move back, possibly around the 76.20 zone, and then looking for a buy signal, evidence that the market is going to try to support all that new buying. Once again, if you were more bearish, you would anticipate a fake breakout. Like if you were thinking, oh, the overnight highs are going to hold, I'll look for a selling opportunity. And this is what's going on all the time in the market, right? Traders have different expectations of the market, different opinions. Okay, now the thing with these breakouts is they will come. The retest, it's just not always immediate. Sometimes you got to wait for it for a while. All right, we don't have anything going on, so I'm going to show you here this short on the Falcon. Actually, I'm not going to do 3 contracts. That would be a little silly. But again, this is just kind of trying to play the range. And you can see Trade Forecaster says we're still full on scalp mode for the rest of the morning, perhaps even the early afternoon session. And there should be a little bit of a retrace here back, certainly toward the top end of the trading range. It's not a high probability signal. I just want to point out to you how these trading ranges work, how there's a breakout, there's a retest. Like I say, we don't have a whole lot going on right now, so I'll show you this this possible short if it comes down. There we go. I was going to say everything's kind of dried up here at the moment. What I'll do is I'm going to stretch that profit target a little bit. I am expecting a move back to around 76.20. And sometimes what you can do is you can kind of aim for the halfway mark on these types of moves. I don't trade Fibonacci levels, but that doesn't mean that the market won't have a tendency to retrace half of the prior move. And once again, what we're looking for is now that we've had the breakout, looking for a possible retest. And then we would be looking for a signal to buy. No, I thought we'd get a little bit of a larger retest off of that. Apparently not. All right, here now looks like we may finally get that retest after about 15 minutes, 20 minutes after the breakout. Here, the Falcon producing another sell signal. The Raptor should be coming up with a number 2 signal here to short. Okay, maybe not. Okay, so now we're getting the retest. I'll move this trade to break even at this point. We're almost at the break even trigger. Oh, there we go. Got the break even. And now we're getting a little bit of that pushback as we're retesting the breakout. So this is going to be the big deal now. If the market rallies from here, it's going to show us that, in fact, the buyers are in control and prices should head higher. If it doesn't rally, however, there's a very good chance the market will retest this whole 7,600 zone. So if you were inclined, you could run your profit target back down here around 7,600. But things have gotten really quite slow here. Paul's asking, any news on switching to NinjaTrader 8? I actually touched base with the programmer again yesterday. I haven't heard from him just yet. As many of you know, where Ninja 8 has been a real pain in the backside when it came to reprogramming the trade manager. As I'm sure you can appreciate, the trade manager is a very complex piece of software. And Ninja 8 keeps having these little glitches. Ninja 8 was not just an update of Ninja 7, it was a total rebuild, which meant that we had to rebuild all the software. Now, the signal software, the DTS, the Raptor, that was not as complicated. The trade manager, unfortunately, very complicated. And every time we get close, it seems as though Ninja makes a little bit of an adjustment and kind of puts us behind the curve again. But I know he was initially, he said around Labor Day. That didn't happen. He's a couple of weeks late. We're hoping, well, I asked him for it by the end of the month. If you're asking for me personally, I I tend not to update very often, and here's the reason why. New software is not always better. I know everybody's telling me Ninja 8 has, great improvements, and I'm sure that there are some fine improvements with it. But I'm very much from the if it works, don't fix it school of thought. So I myself will probably not be upgrading to Ninja 8 for some time. That's my own personal view. I know many of you are already on Ninja 8, and that's fine. But for me personally, it's not a priority. But hopefully, that said, hopefully we will have a Ninja 8 compatible trade manager for you very shortly. All right, so that trade, the market pulling back just a little bit too much, tagging me at break even on it, which is okay. Now we'll be on the lookout for the buying opportunity, and here it comes. It looks as though there's the buy. So we have a buying opportunity now here on the Eagle, which seems actually to be a little bit ahead of the curve. We don't have the buy signal on the other tools just yet, but there's the buy signal on the Eagle. Probably would look something like this, at least to the hard edge. With the Eagle, it's a little bit difficult to keep the wider stop because of the dollar amount, the brick size and the dollar amount. If you can, even risking it here to the curve in the hard edge would be acceptable also. All right, gang, I think we're gonna button up shop here for the morning. Overall, it's kind of a difficult day. Like I said, now that we're outside of this trading range, maybe the market will get a little bit of giddy up. But do be careful. It is still a very sideways kind of day today. I'll see you again tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Bye for now.